Hi, thanks for joining me on another episode of the Post-Separation Abuse podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Black.
You thought you knew, but you didn't have a clue, baby. You thought you knew, but you didn't have a clue, baby.
Hey, I'm Danielle Black, and I'm the coach you need if you're dealing with post-separation abuse. I help you make sense of ongoing abusive behaviour after separation and help you take back your power and control. Let's go.
You thought you knew, but you didn't have a clue.
This episode is part 3 of our post-separation abuse series, unpacking some of the ways in which controlling people, abusive people, will continue to abuse you post-separation. Today we're going to be talking about the way in which perpetrators of family violence and post-separation abuse continue to minimise their behaviour, deny their abusive behaviour, and blame you, or literally anyone else, for their behaviour choices. This can manifest as the abusive person denying the reality of the abuse in all of its forms. If you haven't listened to the episode on gaslighting and the episode on DAVO, that is deny, attack, reverse, victim and offender, you might find those episodes interesting and informative. So episode number 6 is Unmasking DAVO, Understanding How Abusers Distort Reality. And episode number 7 is Gaslighting Unveiled. Abusers will commonly deny the reality of the abuse. They'll deny your experience and the experience of your children, and will accuse you of either lying or exaggerating. They won't take your concerns seriously or your children's concerns. They'll accuse you and or the kids of causing the abuse, of causing their behaviour. They may falsely accuse you of abuse or violence, or continue with low-level, subtle forms of manipulation, gaslighting, coercive control to agitate you to a point where you're pushed over the edge in terms of what you can handle so that you lash out. They might make light of the abuse or normalise the abuse in some way, shape or form. They might blame their choice to use violence and abuse on anger problems, on the fact that they work so hard, they're so stressed, they're the only ones doing XYZ, fill in the blank. There will be a reason for their use of violence or the reason that they behave the way that they do. But underneath all of that, what you will notice, or what you may notice when you reflect on this from the past, and also what you might be experiencing now in the present, is that there's an underpinning of entitlement. They justify their use of control and abuse because they actually feel entitled to behave that way. They believe that they genuinely have a right to behave that way. It's also important to keep in mind that their behaviour is not an anger problem. And to expand on that a little bit further, you might like to listen to episode number 3 or re-listen to episode number 3 titled It's Not an Anger Problem to expand on that aspect a little bit more. They might also recruit other people to support their false narrative. This can include friends and family members, but it can also include their lawyer, can also include telling authorities and the court that they themselves are the good parent and that you are actually the problem. It's common for them to go after the mental health of a protective parent. And that's something that I covered in a fairly recent episode number 35, which is titled When Your Mental Health is Attacked. And that also features a bit of a rant from me about equal shared parenting time. That's an issue that I have some very passionate views about, as I'm sure most of you have probably worked out. This episode's fairly short and sweet, talking about the way in which controlling people, abusive people will minimise their behaviour, deny their behaviour. They'll minimise the harm that it causes or deny that it has caused harm. They'll accuse you of exaggerating. They'll blame you for why they've supposedly had to behave the way that they have. They'll potentially make out that it's because of anger. They want you to believe that they can't control what it is that they're doing, which oftentimes is a total lie. Really what's going on is that they feel very entitled to behave the way that they do. And if you're wanting to delve a little bit deeper into this, so the minimizing, distorting reality, denying, and then flipping the narrative, claiming that you're the offender and they're the victim, as I mentioned, you may like to have a listen for the first time or re-listen to episodes number 6, number 7, and also episode number 35 regarding when your mental health is attacked. Thank you so much for your time. I'll talk to you soon.
There's a moment where the noise stops landing, where the chaos loses its hold.
That's it for today's episode of the Post-Separation Abuse Podcast. If you found this helpful, you'll love the Post-Separation Parenting Blueprint, the foundation of everything that my team and I teach, now available to all protective parents. Whether you work with us one-on-one or navigate your journey independently, the blueprint is where everyone starts. Whether you're thinking about separating, in the early stages of separation, wanting to avoid your kids being trapped with unsafe or inappropriate care arrangements, or perhaps needing to challenge and change current arrangements, and even if you're currently in the court system for parenting matters. I created the blueprint as a gift to all of my fellow protective parent warriors because the journey of being a change maker and a cycle breaker can't be done alone, and the blueprint is the one post-separation parenting resource that gets it right. Child development, safety and well-being put first, with the evidence to back it up. The blueprint gives you the same strategic frameworks that my team and I use in private one-on-one coaching, and it's available on an online platform for you to access whenever and wherever you need. You can also ensure that you're up to date with any new announcements by checking in regularly to the website danielleblackcoaching.com.au. Until next time, take care. And please always remember, you are your child's greatest protector.
This isn't revenge, this is design. A future rewritten line by line. You don't burn it down, you build it right with wisdom, strategy, and quiet.